brothers and sisters who have gathered here today. Today's subject for conference is probable teaching methods useful for the modern age. I speak for some time about these probable teaching methods in the modern age, and if possible I will try to give one or two more aspects of the first day's lecture which is kept incomplete, that is the science of triangles. First I will deal with the immediate and most important subject, the probable methods of teaching in the modern age. There are many valuable and useful experiments conducted about teaching in the modern age, and much progress has been recorded also during the past decades in the line of education. There are the creative methods of applied teaching, and there are some valuable experiments about residential education and about stimulating the child and the student into the required faculties. We have many positive and valuable methods presented in this age. As I hinted you yesterday, all these methods are going almost a waste for one simple reason, since they are experimented only in the metropolitan institutions. One principle is not much cared for, that is remembering that education comes from an institution and not a mere school. Let us try to distinguish between an institution and a school. An institution has to give something to the child, whereas a school has only something to teach. We should have something to give to the child instead of merely teaching. And an institution automatically involves home, because the first institution is the house of the child, and the first set of teachers are the parents. A failure of understanding this fact is rendering all the valuable experiments failures. Unless we care for this first aspect of education, unless we provide the child with an institution instead of a pure school, we are not at all catering to the needs of the child, and mere supplying something like information is not catering the needs. What the developing soul needs is a care and a guidance. The mind and intelligence needs teaching, instruction and independence. The soul needs something else. Mind and intelligence are something which the child has. You can call it what he has, but the soul is what he is. And we, the elders, first of all should be able to distinguish, and then remember that the child is not only what he has, but more importantly what he is. He is a soul, or he is a seed of an would-be tree which is his future life. Then we have something more than providing information. what the seed needs is sowing and proper assistance to grow. And it is not enough if you read a book before a seed, how the seed germinates and grows. So, there are two aspects. One is to create a child. The other is, first of all, to reproduce or procreate a child. This the human beings do just as every animal does. It is common to all to produce or procreate children. But the special privilege of a human being is to create a child which he has already produced. And this is a speciality only to the human animal. And it is our duty to see, to know how to create a child. Now, let us take the child from childhood and consider what it needs from us from its childhood. Make a home to the child. If the parent cannot make a comfortable home to the child, if both the parents are very busy in going away from home and keeping themselves very busy with some occupation, and send the child to a school, and again allow the child to see them once in a week or 2 weeks. Whatever may be the psychological level of education that the child receives, the child develops into a moral orphan, that is an intellectual giant but a spiritual orphan. There is progress in all the dimensions of the intellect, but there is a lack of sense of security in the center of existence, and the vacuum cannot be filled by this method. So, what the child wants is first an ideal home, and a good teacher who wants to give modern education to the child at the modern age should first make a good home for the children who come to him. Very valuable attempts have been made for the past 100 or 150 years by the many residential institutions and the dormitories. But something more is to be supplemented, because what the child received is a religious education and not a spiritual education. The difference should be noticed by the teachers and the parents. Until very recently, educational institutions have been developed under the strong spell of religion, especially in the Occident. Therefore, many of you may not be knowing the disadvantages of unidimensional development of a child, and the home construction of a teacher should be first known by the teacher. He should be a valuable father. There were fathers maintaining institutions previously, but the child required valuable fathers and mothers, and parents who train their children should make their home a school for other children. That is how a modern educational system should start in the beginning. I repeat once again, parents who are training their own children, they should make a school of their home and admit into it children, let it be limited number. And another such family may it join with the first family, and let the housing be invented in a way convenient to conduct this experiment. Gradually, the number of families who want to experiment like this may join together and make a bigger and a bigger home for children. And then the first successful experiment of teaching in the modern age begins. Then the creative methods of teaching that are invented in the modern age will be realized and found successful. And such a home can be established only in a rural or country area, as I hinted yesterday. And children of those who are working in the metropolitan cities should be taken to such schools and placed there. And some of the parents should retire after a certain age and go there and join to improve the institute. And then they start doing their experiments upon the children's mind. Education should be started by narration, not through literacy. The first valuable suggestion made by real educationalists is that let some age pass before you introduce literacy to the child, and have your own syllabus to educate the child without the need of literacy for some age. It should be in the form of narratives. Let the parent or teacher be narrating interesting things to the child, and let the child repeat narrating them again. And let the parent not discourage the child when the child begins to narrate independently for itself. Let the child not be denied of its self-expression. The only thing the child wants is that the parent or the teacher is not otherwise busy. This is the one aspect which the elder should be most careful about the child. When a child finds the parent or the teacher otherwise busy, automatically it begins to feel neglected and lonely, and tries to seek methods of receiving something interesting through negative ways. That is, a vacuum will be formed in the place where there should be hope for the future. So, the first thing the child wants is the confidence that the elders care for the child, that the elders take interest in the child, that the elders communicate with the child, and that the elders take care to see that the child is treated in equal terms with the elders. These are the legitimate needs of the child that sprout as the branches of a tree naturally as the child is growing. It is our duty to see that these primary branches are not cut off. So, start talking to the child and taking interest in spending time with the child. If a parent does so, automatically the parent grows into a teacher of the child. And another care and caution is that to see that the child does not grow in its own world, though it is very near to the parent. For example, the parent will have the child on the back carrying, or in the office or in the house in the cradle or some bag like thing. Though the child is physically very near to the parent, the child is left to its own world, whereas the parent is very busy all the day with his or her own world. Then for a long time, the world the child knows is only the milk bottle, or a toy or a set of toys given to the child. When the child is forced to play with lifeless things or corpses, the second care we should take is, as far as possible, don't supply toys to the child. See that the child does not develop the habit of playing with lifeless things. Provide material to the child as it grows in age to produce its own toys. I think many of you know the name of Rabindranath Tagore, and many of you might have read his writings on education. He writes in his reminiscences about his childhood and how his father gave them the first education. The first thing he saw was that there were no prepared dolls given to the children. He gave plaster and clay, and he began to produce statues and pictures, playing with the children, and children began to imitate, each trying to produce a statue or draw a picture or produce a good painting, or to take the scissors and paper and make good work in producing art pieces. The main principle involved in this is there are two faculties in a growing child: creative faculty and constructive faculty. No one of these two faculties should be curbed. The creative faculty deals with the synthesis aspect of the child, whereas the constructive activity deals with the analysis faculty of the child. If a child develops synthetic faculties properly and no power to analyze and understand things, then he will go into some orthodoxy of some religion or some political party. So he grows only into a conventional brute, and after a certain age, no expansion is possible. Instead, if the analytical faculty is developed and the synthetic faculty is curbed, then he develops into an intellectual evil genius, that is a critic and a fault finding creature who can understand everything, who can criticize everything, who can find the defects in everything, and who can discard everything, and who can do nothing in this world. You can say an intellectual eunuch. So we should take care of the two faculties of the child, because we know now we are passing through the second phase of education. The society is full of many people who can analyze things, at the same time who cannot correlate two different things. It understands a faculty that makes us know how we are different from others. and how we are distinguished from others. And it never gives us the capacity to understand what is in common with us. We cannot feel the common needs of humanity. We cannot conceive or visualize what is in common between us and others, because we have no faculty to see what is similar. We have the faculty only to see what is dissimilar. That is how we are distinguished from others. In what way we differ from others. This automatically leads to destruction, because the concept of society will be falsified. The concept of home and family will be made false, and the concept of an institution will be falsified, and the concept of a nation will be found useless. I hinted the other day that a fellow who has no value of national concept cannot honor an international concept of human values. He can prove to be only an international virus or bacteria who is highly destructive to society and mankind. So, from the tender stage of childhood, we should take care that neither of these two faculties are suppressed. The synthetic faculty should be developed by allowing the child to speak and narrate and express, and to allow it imitate you what you do at home, and automatically the power of analysis will be developed from the time we begin to give literacy to the child, because the learning of alphabet and the learning of mathematics will give the analytical faculty a good stimulation automatically. Before that, the synthetic faculty should be given a stimulation. Let the child prepare its own dolls to play with, its own art pictures, its own sculpture, and its own little machines to work with. Sculpture and its own little machines to work with. That is how the synthetic faculty begins to work. So, at least until the child is completing 7, let the teacher not think of a book and alphabet and teaching, because instead of spending the tender time in teaching alphabet, you can teach through narratives that which is required for the child's behavior, because real education belongs to the behavior aspect, not the structure aspect. I told you yesterday that literacy should not be confused with education. Literacy is altogether a different faculty which should be developed, but it is to be developed in tune with the education we impart to the child. Education is the behavior aspect of the child, whereas literacy is the structure of what we teach. So, let literacy be delayed at least until the child completes 7, and let the child have good conversations and narratives with the teacher, and let the topics be carefully selected by the parent and teacher. You can take the best advantage of the interest of the child and sustaining the interest of the child by making a proper selection of the subjects you are going to narrate to the child. For example, let it be about the human relationships with the parents, with the neighbors, with the friends, and with the guests who come home. What Mr. So-and-so is to the child, and what is meant by a friend, what is meant by a guest, and how the child should receive people and make the first conversation with the people who come. This is how the first education is to be imparted, and let it involve also songs and music. At the same time, gradually introduce some little subjects through the narratives. Let them include what is called house science, how to make bricks, how to make carpentry, how to make little parts of the house. So, you can select pieces from house science, and let the teacher be an expert in teaching to the child through narratives, and let the teacher begin to work in the presence of children. Let the children begin to take the implements and work, and after a few years, let it be introduced, let the home science be introduced. How the elders should maintain a good home, how the elders are arranging the furniture, and what are the things required to make a home, so that after an age of about 40 or 45, the fellow may not be a fool not to understand what he wants if he wants to make a new home. He should not seek from others, and at that age he should not try to imitate others to know what he wants. Let the child know the art of reception, how to receive people, and how to deal with people according to their age and stage, how to respond in a positive way to the society, and then about information. Provide the child with all types of information through narratives, and then it begins to grow interest in the books you are reading, and the child begins to demand books. Then begin to introduce literacy with the help of books which contain diagrams of various things. According to books, children books written according to the experts of creative methods of teaching. Then you can introduce from 7 to 14 years some instruction and fundamentals of the teachings of nature observation, that is the behavior of plants and behavior of animals, which automatically includes the fundamental lessons in sex and sex life in a positive and proper manner. It should be in such a way that the importance of matters like sex should be understood by the child. At the same time, he should have a strong basis to stand the glamour and wrong attraction of sex after a certain age. That is possible only if the child understands the functions of sex in nature. That is a proper use For example, if the child is made to observe flowers and butterflies going from flower to flower, you can explain everything how nature produces and reproduces, and then you can explain how the male and female parts are intended by nature